We teach them more about the framework of reality. We help them understand more about this universe and explore creative potentials. Do you see now why, to go higher in consciousness, we really need to release judgments about what aspects of ourselves are in the false light, or why we are attracting what we are attracting in our life, or why we can't follow a specific technique and get the desired results? During a spiritual awakening, we become more aware of the fact that we have higher aspects to our energy field, known as spirit guides or our soul family. But we don't normally think of ourselves here at the third density being of help to them or helping assist their evolution. We usually only think it's a one-way street where they're meant to help and assist us. So today, I'm going to be explaining the most important, vital, and highest role of ourselves here in this dimension for the benefit of our entire soul family, as well as our own spirit guides. In my video, The Fourth Dimension Explained, I talk about how the fourth dimension has the largest bandwidth out of all of the dimensions in this universe. And what the largest bandwidth means is that it contains a lot of subset realities. So it contains all these different heaven realms and hell realms within it. And many of our own parts of consciousness are inside the fourth density or the fourth dimension. And we look to them even for guidance and assistance, and they help us and they protect us. But we never really think that we can help them or that we were even incarnated here in this reality to integrate enough of those themes that are taking place in the fourth density between heaven and hell, dark and light, in order so that then we can go even higher and even beyond them. We think that higher is always better, but we don't normally see the benefit that our higher self would have by going lower to serve a vital function in its own ascent. Our spirit guides, our oversoul, and our higher self do many things to protect us, assist us, and support us. Sometimes they are the only reason we get ourselves out of some mess. But we think that only the above can help the below, and that the below cannot help the above. When in reality, we can only synthesize higher aspects of our energy field by bringing them to a lower vibration, into a singularity. We have been deeply conditioned to look at our team as though we are powerless and serve no divine purpose that they need. But there are different aspects of our oversoul that influence and impact one another. For instance, you can have guides or aspects of your oversoul that are stuck inside a fourth dimensional realm. They can even be stuck in a heaven realm or a false light heaven realm. They can still assist us and protect us from other energies and from other beings inside that layer of the fourth dimension because they reside at that level of reality. But that does not mean that in turn we are not also helping assist them. And we support them through our own evolution. Some of these aspects or spirit guides are helping us on our journey here, while also learning from us. And without our role in this process, they cannot ascend higher themselves. This is one of the reasons they would incarnate into lower realms, because they can only access more expansion and more love by learning a lesson in this dimension. We teach them more about the framework of reality. We help them understand more about this universe and explore creative potentials. Do you see now why, to go higher in consciousness, we really need to release judgments about what aspects of ourselves are in the false light, or why we are attracting what we are attracting in our life, or why we can't follow a specific technique and get the desired results? They simply do not help the deeper healing that is taking place by putting limiting parameters over a healing process that is way beyond our logical mind's limited worldview, and it's way beyond our logical mind's techniques to attract whatever we wish to desire. So the core theme inside this universe is paradox, and how that applies to our own journey is the lower we descend into the dimensions here in this universe, the more we're able to access energies that exist at higher dimensions, but integrate them, create more of a holistic being of those higher energies. So what this would be considered is a lot of fragmentation that's going on here at a lower level of reality. But that fragmentation is not all ours. That fragmentation belongs to parts of our energy field, parts of our own consciousness that aren't even in this dimension right now. But since nothing is ever truly a singular being or a singular thing, we have different aspects of ourselves in different realms or in different dimensions. And that's where a large part of our own fragmentation comes from. So we experience trauma, and that does lead to soul loss, and that does lead to fragmentation. But aside from that, we also have composite parts of ourselves that are from different portions of our consciousness. We have different beings that we are. We're not just one singular being. We have fragments of angels that we're connected to the angel realms from. This is the truth we discover once we expand our consciousness to the level of what's known as the oversoul. When we start tapping into our oversoul, we start realizing that we are not just one singular being, even though we're going by that name here in the third density. So because of that, there's a larger, really important purpose for us being here in this dimension. Aside from us just being confused and wanting to experience physical reality. And that is because we can integrate other portions of consciousness that belong to our oversoul here in this dimension. That's known in this age as embodiment. We're here to embody our higher self. But that's just another way of saying exactly what I'm talking about, which is the reason why we're here in the third density as the being that we are, is to integrate multidimensional beings and multidimensional energies within our own consciousness. And that's what's experienced the most as fragmentation. Because how much fragmentation could we possibly incur in one lifetime if we weren't going through severe, like Michael Myers type situations? Fragmentation is a part of the universe. It's not just something that humans here in the third density experience as trauma. And because of that, we already incarnated with a lot of fragments. And those fragments are what I'm referring to as those higher density, those higher dimensional aspects of ourselves that are in other realms. Each dimension has its own truth. Each dimension has its own perspective, and each dimension has its own function and role for this universe. If each dimension is a matrix of truth that has laws to organize itself based off of its truth, then the third dimension is where those truths become solidified into a composite thought form or a composite character. For instance, the highest dimension is the mercurial waters, best described as emptiness. From that space, consciousness emerges and explores itself through thought. The lower we drop ourselves into this universe, we will experience ourselves as a thought. But there are other aspects of this same thought as well. You have an aspect of yourself right now already in the fifth dimension, and you have an aspect of yourself already right now in the sixth dimension and the seventh dimension and so forth. All of these aspects are a part of you, and the more we evolve, the more we expand our consciousness here in the third dimension to synthesize them. So we never were a singular being, and we never really will be. We will always be connected to our oversoul and having energies fed into our soul stream from that larger part of our energy field. From that sense, there's no such thing as an individual soul on an individual journey, even though we're still a soul. It just depends on what we consider an actual soul. And as I'm saying, the oversoul is what feeds into our soul. So it's not like we're just an independent soul and that's that. In fact, looking at reality through that lens is actually really outdated, because that would suggest that there's just this singular entity of a soul that's floating around without any form of a larger network that it's a part of or with purpose for. So when we're in the third density, we're almost like an ambassador at this point of far larger energies, and not just even one. Many different energies are feeding into our consciousness here. And that is why it's so important in this age to integrate. That's why you hear so much about healing or integration or embodying the higher self. It's because the most important role of us being here in this lifetime is to integrate those fourth dimensional realms, integrate those different fragments of our higher self, and integrate all of those different portions of consciousness so that they're no longer experienced as fragments. But instead, what would be the paradox of fragments? What would be the transformation of fragments? It would be transforming fragmentation into multi-dimensionality. The parts of our own consciousness that are in the fourth dimension have already figured this out. And that's why they incarnated here in the third density, the third dimension. Because, once again, the paradox, you have to go lower to go higher. So when we come down to the third density and we're a singular being, that's when what we're doing here is integrating all of the things into what? A singular being. It's not really singular, as I said, but it's more integrated. It's more consolidated. And hopefully it's more coherent, because coherency is simply when there's two things that are unified and in communication with one another, or more than two things that are unified still and in communication with one another. That is coherency. So we are here as ambassadors of our oversoul, or ambassadors of larger parts of our consciousness that are meant to create coherency within our being. So we do have soul family that is guiding and assisting us, and we do have spirit guides that are guiding and informing and assisting us. But we are also guiding and assisting simply by integrating the different frequencies and integrating the different emotions and feelings and parts of our psyche, portions of our consciousness that are in conflict one another, or the cognitive dissonance. The dissonance that creates internal fragmentation. So we're here as a representative to be the mixing pot, to be the melding pot, where these other energies are able to be reconciled. And they're reconciled through the heart center. So the heart center is what holds these different portions of our consciousness, holds the conflicting or multiple perceptions, holds the conflicting or multiple beliefs, holds any combativeness, holds any unfinished business or unresolved themes or confusion. And within the heart center, now it starts to create, through our alchemical journey, it starts to create coherency, which once again is unifying different parts and having them communicate. When there's communication between two cells and they're unified in that communication, that is coherency. Coherency is what the heart center does. This is also known as the alchemical fire or the awakened heart center, because all different judgments, perceptions, beliefs, viewpoints will be reconciled only in the fire, reconciled through the direct experience of one another. And in the fourth dimension, you do not get that direct experience of one another in the single person, in the single ambassador. And that's why the third density is so important for our higher team, to rely on us for. It's because we are the integration point. We are where spirit and soul not only meet, we are where spirit and soul are the intersection for that alchemical transformation. So do you see the difference between fragmentation in our psyche from trauma and even from other portions of our consciousness versus melding them together, creating harmony within them, integrating them, and that never really produces a singular I. Instead, what that produces is multi-dimensionality. We just turn fragmentation into multi-dimensionality. So not only is our oversoul assisting us, and not only is our higher self and spirit guides and soul family assisting us, but we are assisting them. They are learning, they are healing, and they are integrating through our healing and our integration and our awareness. The more aware we become of our own beliefs, our own perceptions, our own different aspects of our consciousness, the more light or consciousness that we're bringing into our own being. We are bringing unity to these different fragments of our consciousness that come here to heal serious themes of torture and trauma contained within the Doom imprint. You can watch my video on the Doom imprint to learn more about that. So we can ask for guidance and assistance from our higher power and from our guides, but we also play a vital role for them as well. We are their thoughts actualized. We are their perceptions reconciled. We are their desires fully materialized. And we are their creativity, their essence, their spirit unified. I hope this has helped you help your higher self. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for higher dimensional guidance through spiritual awakening. See you next time.